The Rock fans, we got some NFL updates and a fresh new NBA show, so stay tuned.
Could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Posting like Kobe Bryant, flying to see the pie. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jet skis. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo, partner, pass the rock, for real.
It is a beautiful Monday night. Welcome back to the Pass the Rock crew, and we are joined by a very special guest, Lost Tribe athlete Roe. Roe, how you doing?
Good to be here, guys. How are you guys?
We're doing great. And alongside me, I got Jack and Zach, the dynamic duo. We're going to start with some NBA preview. I know it's been a long time. We're a couple of weeks into the regular season, but let's talk about some NBA, and what better to talk about than the two 50-point games we had last night. Darius Garland going for 51 in a loss. And then Embiid with the best game of the season so far. Absolute masterclass. Let me go to you, Jack. Who do you think had the better game between the two?
Oh, it's not even close. It has to be Joel Embiid. Embiid was absolutely dominant last night. I mean, I think he scored over half of the 76ers points in that game. He finished with, I think, 57 and 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 blocks. He was on quadruple double watch. I mean, how often do you see that in the NBA? And I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Garland was spectacular. I love Darius Garland as a player, but Embiid was just absolutely dominant, special, carrying the Philadelphia 76ers right now.
Yeah, Zach, I know you're going to want to chime in on this one.
Oh, man, of course I want to chime in on this. Jack, he got 59 points last night, one shy of the big 6-0. Then everyone really would be talking about it. But
just 59.
Yeah, just 59. Just 59. I mean, Maxey said that he sucked for missing 4 free throws last night, so it could have been as high as 63. But I don't want to discredit Darius Garland's 50-point game. I think that we're seeing a star in the making right there. I think, the Cavs, I mean, they have Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. That's a backcourt in itself right there, and they have other young stars. So the Cavs are definitely on the up and up. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on them for, this season and seasons to come, because they're going to be competing.
Yeah, with between him, Mitchell, and then Karis LeVert, you got 3 guards on the team who are capable of putting up over 40 in a night, which is just unheard of. Roe, I know you're a big Eastern Conference guy, so what'd you make of these games?
So, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't want to discredit Darius Garland, because the main ball handler in Cleveland, it's Donovan Mitchell. He's going to one that's going to carry the ball up and down the court. So to score 50 with Mitchell on your team it's a great achievement, but at the end of the day, he's overshadowed by Embiid. Without Embiid, the Sixers are just not good. Even with Embiid, I don't like the Sixers. But Embiid gets the ball every single time down the floor. He cannot miss from mid-range. I saw it. I'm a big Hawks fan. So he doesn't miss from mid-range. No matter who you put on him, he's going to score. And the fact that he was on quadruple double watch just makes that even sweeter. I mean, 7 blocks is unheard of, like you said. So it's got to be Embiid.
I'm going to have to agree with you guys. I mean, that game from Embiid it was unreal. I think he had 125 fantasy points for all you fantasy basketball guys out there. So,
yeah.
And I'm sure if you're in a category league that he was just stuffing the stat sheet. Boy. Let's move on to some of the NBA season at a glance. Let's start with who is going to win. Actually, let's start with each conference maybe, and then we'll go to the championship. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. And Zach, why don't you kick us off? Who's winning the East?
I gotta let my bias show. I really think, especially if we fire Doc Rivers at some point this season and just put literally anyone else, preferably Sam Cassell, but literally anyone else to do that job, to get that locker room together, I think the Sixers have a real shot at competing for the Eastern Conference title and making it to their first NBA Finals since 2001.
I like it. It's a hot take. Jack?
Hey, look, Zach, maybe you can get Rob Thompson in there. Could do the same thing they did.
Why not? Why not? At this point, why not?
Better than Doc. Why not? So as the lone Western Conference basketball fan in the group right here, I'll give you a nice unbiased perspective. I'm taking the Milwaukee Bucks. They're not talked about enough. They're the best team in basketball without a doubt. They are not talked about enough just because they're boring. They're always the best. They're always good. But Giannis is the best player in basketball. I don't think there's any debate in that right now. I think he has to be number one. He's putting up the stats every night to back it up. The Bucks just keep winning, and I don't see any reason for it to stop. I think they're easily the favorites out of the East right now, and I think they can make it back to the championship this year.
All right, clear-cut, unbiased opinion. Roe, now let's hear another one.
I respect the opinion. Look, like Zach was saying, you can't be a fan and not root for your team biasly. So I am a Hawks fan. It's gonna be the Hawks. I think the Hawks have the tools to do it. I think we have the defensive presence. We are really good defensively. What we're lacking right now, believe it or not, is the three-point shot. And if we can finally get the three-point shot down, there is no reason why we can't compete with the Bucks, why we can't compete with everyone else in the East. Unbiased, if I had to look for it from an unbiased perspective, I would say Boston's better than Milwaukee for me. Looking at the two teams head-to-head, I think Boston has more. If the Bucks, Middleton's injured, but with Middleton in, you can kind of neutralize, Giannis, catch him on a bad night, and you're okay. With Boston, I think there's just too many assets they have right now to be able to say, okay, if Brown's not going off, Tatum will. If Tatum's not going off, Brown will. And even so, they just have a well-rounded team, in my opinion. But it's nothing for Trae Young or DeJounte Murray. The Hawks are going to come out of the East, put a stamp on it.
Wow. I mean, wow. That's a bold take if I've ever heard one. But I like Boston. I love the Malcolm Brogdon addition in the offseason. That was kind of under the radar, but a huge move for them. But I think I got to go with the Bucks. Even though I'm a Raptors fan and I'm doing them dirty right now, I don't think that they're going to go all the way through the East. The East is stacked this year. It's very, very competitive. And a lot of teams are really making that title push right now. I think Milwaukee, they're just so complete. They're still the best defensive team, in my opinion. I know Boston had a bit better numbers than them last year, but Boston's defense is looking a little shaky to start the year. So I'm going to ride with the Bucks through the East. Let's move on to the West, though. And I'll start us off. My Western Conference team that's going to be the number one team in the West is the Memphis Grizzlies. And let me tell you, John Morant has been playing at an MVP level. Desmond Bane would win Most Improved if he hadn't won it last year already. And they're about to get Jaren Jackson Jr. back, who's Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So I think that this is such a good young team. They have such amazing coaching as well. A lot of team chemistry. I think that they're going to make a nice deep run this year. So, hey, we got Jack back. And with that, Jack.
This is the second show in a row that my Wi-Fi has dropped out. I don't understand what's going on.
Well, now that you're back, Jack, why don't you give me your Western Conference prediction?
Yeah, so, I mean, out West, oh, man, the West is so tough to predict this year. There are so many good teams this year. I mean, obviously, the defending champs are out there, the Warriors. You can never count them out, even though they've been a little slow to start the season. But I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprise pick here. I'm going to pick the Dallas Mavericks. I think that this is the best iteration of the Luka Doncic Mavericks that we've seen so far. I think the addition of Christian Wood was really huge for them as that second option, the guy that can – I think they've been using him off the bench some that – a great guy to lead the second unit. They've got Spencer Dinwiddie, who's really nice. I really think that this is the best iteration of the Luka-led Mavericks, and I think Luka obviously has been the superstar that he is this season, and that's continued. I think this is their year. I think the West is super competitive this year. There's a lot of different ways that it could end up, and I think this is the time that Luka can just take charge in the playoffs and push them to the finals.
I like it. We got a lot of Luka on this list. Roe.
Look, biasly, because Trae and Luka will always be linked because of the draft day trade. I just don't think the Mavericks have the depth or the squad to go to the finals. I don't see it. Even watching them, they have streaky players. I mean, at any given night, you have Dorian Finney-Smith, maybe goes off, maybe not. You just never know. You never know with them. And I think that they're not consistent enough. Christian Wood is a heck of a player to add. I was very shocked that they added him and even put him in a six-man instead of putting him in the starting lineup because he's way better than Porzingis ever was, in my opinion. So that's a heck of a pick, but I don't see the Mavericks going that far. The West, for me in general, the West is hilarious. It's so funny to watch from afar. I mean, if you look at the standings now, the Lakers are 14th, the Warriors are 13th. The Timberwolves, who went absolutely all in, are 12th, excuse me. And I don't see them going anywhere either. I think it's just hysterical that they went all in and lost everything just to go for this Rudy Gobert trade, which is so funny. But for me, the team coming out of the West, and I hate to say this, I really, really do, is going to be the Warriors. They always end up finding a way to turning it around. They will. I think that if Wiseman doesn't end up holding his own like they think he will, they'll end up trading him. And that could be could be a trade with the Lakers for Anthony Davis. That's something I definitely see happening. If that's a hot take that I think could happen. That's something I think could happen. So the Warriors for me are going to come out of the West no matter what happens. The Warriors are going to end up coming out of it. And one more thing I will say that I guess you can call it a hot take. Also, I think the Suns are horrible. I think the way DeAndre Ayton's playing is so subpar. And obviously it's because he's mad and he wanted to get out of there and whatever happened there. But I just think Chris Paul is kind of way past the prime of what he was. Devin Booker can't carry the team by himself. Jay Crowder no one knows where Jay Crowder is. And DeAndre Ayton's playing at a very average level. So I think the Suns are going to end up crashing and burning. Ayton's going to get out of there. Crowder's obviously getting out of there. So that's a team to watch to just.
I like that. That's a blazing hot take right there. Zach, why don't you round us out with your Western Conference?
Yeah. For me, this is a team that I've heard a lot about over the years, a team that I've seen be successful, but never at the top of the standings. If I have the Sixers going to the finals out of the East, it's only fair that Nikola Jokic meets him in the finals. Those two have been the MVP 1 and 2 for the past 2 years. It was always Jokic 1, Embiid 2. If Embiid's not going to be able to get MVP, he can get finals MVP instead over Jokic. Maybe a bit of a spoiler there, but I really like this Nuggets squad. I mean, they're fully healthy. We've seen Jokic dominate for the past 2 years. He's been the MVP for a reason. It's not just because, me with my Embiid debates. Nikola Jokic is deserving of the award. Just that Embiid is also. But still, Jokic is phenomenal. And now they have MPJ and Jamal Murray both back, both healthy. Along with that, you have Bones Highland, right now I guess he's the sixth man. So probably, a top 3 6 man right now in Bones Highland. Amazing young point guard. You have Aaron Gordon. You have Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You have Bruce Brown, who was very good for the Nets last year. I like this Nugget squad, and I can see them going far in the playoffs. And I am picking them to come out of the West.
I actually love that take. I love MPJ, how he's been playing to start the year, and Jamal Murray being back is huge.
Great
You're
squad.
right.
They're a great squad. I will give full credit to the Nuggets. They are an amazing squad. They haven't gone that far yet. I think this could be their year.
I agree.
Jokic versus Embiid in the finals would be so much fun.
It would be phenomenal. It would be such a great finals. A finals where we actually have a good storyline would be the first time since the LeBron Warriors finals. First time we'd have a storyline that good.
I'd watch it.
Scriptwriter's going crazy on that one, but I love the way Bones Highland might be the most entertaining player in basketball right now. And I don't think that's an understatement. He is electric with the ball. I heard someone say he's a modern day Allen Iverson, and I kind of love it. Like,
wow,
he's got.
That's a little crazy.
That's a bold statement.
Like,
I'm not huge on that one. But
maybe not from a Hall of Fame career standpoint, but from the game style. But
hold on, that does bring up a good question though, as what Brian was saying. Who would flop more? Who would average more flops in that series? Would it be Jokic or Embiid?
Embiid.
100% Embiid.
No. It would be Embiid 1, Harden 2, and then literally anyone else. All right.
At least you're aware of it. I respect it.
Being completely realistic. Like, I love my team, but I also know who they are. Like, Embiid and Harden will find ways to draw fouls. It happens.
Of course. Yeah. Embiid finds a way no matter what. He's huge and he falls like he's nothing.
He shot 24 free throws last night. Like there's a reason that the reason
when Trae Young fouls Joel Embiid, then there's something wrong. That just shouldn't happen.
All right, well, we just had our conference picks. Who is your 2023 NBA champion? Let's start with you, Jack.
Yeah, so just a reminder, I had the Bucks coming out of the East. I had the Mavericks coming out of the West, which was a little bit crazy, but God, I wish I could just ride the Luka train all the way. I really think that he's awesome and that he has the ability to carry the Mavericks to a championship. But I just think the Bucks are a better, more well-rounded, more complete team. They've shown that they can win a championship. They've had that playoff success, that track record, and Giannis has had that playoff track record of performing in these top moments. I just think that the Bucks are too good. They're going to be too much for the Mavericks in the end. But I would love to see it. I would love to see Luka win a Finals MVP, carry the Mavericks to the championship. But I got to go with the Bucks.
All right, and Zach?
Well, I already spoiled it a little bit, but again, Jokic, he has the 2 MVPs in back-to-back seasons, with Embiid being that second place guy. I feel like, the roles are going to be reversed this time. Embiid will win final MVP over Nikola Jokic, as the Sixers will face the Nuggets in the NBA Finals and take home the championship to Philadelphia. It will be the first chip since, I believe, 83. So would be, really big. I think that would just be a great series to watch as a basketball fan. I don't think anyone would be upset if it went either way, that series. I mean, Sixers, you have Embiid. Nuggets, you have Jokic, 2 generational centers. So, but I'm going with my Sixers on this one. I think, 76th year of the NBA, it's got to be the Sixers. Come on.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
the Sixers or Philadelphia might set a record for losing in the most championships in one year.
Yeah, we might. At this rate, we might. So, I mean, at least we'll have made it there. That would be great, and we'll look back at this year bittersweetly. But if we lose 4 championships in the same year, I don't know if the city will be able to stand by next fall. So we'll see.
We'll see. All right, Roe.
So, like I said, the East, completely unbiased. The Hawks, of course. Look, I think the Hawks have the tools to do it. Out of the East, I wouldn't mind if it would be the Hawks, the Celtics, or the Bucks. I think the Celtics and Bucks are both just as capable of making it there. I do think the Celtics have an edge over the Bucks, but both of them could make it out just the same. The West, I don't see the Grizzlies getting out of it. I just don't think it. I think it's inevitable. The Warriors will do one last run. This will be the end of the Warrior dynasty. I think they're showing their weaknesses. They're showing they're slowly starting to fade away. Yeah, I say that when they keep winning championships, but I think that this could be the end of the dynasty. But again, I just don't see the Warriors not winning. I just make it hard for me to not see the Warriors lose again. Especially if they take Anthony Davis, the trade that I think they might make. So with that addition, I have to say the Warriors again. I would like to see a fresh new team though, because I'm so tired of seeing them in the finals.
Yeah,
They're just too good. All right, I'm gonna round us out then, and I'm gonna say my NBA champion. I might have to agree with Jack on this one and go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I think they didn't make it quite back there last year, and I know Giannis is gonna be thinking about that a lot. And he came out to the start of the season just looking phenomenal. And yeah, I think the Bucks have what it takes. We've seen them win a championship before, and I just think that they're the strongest team right now. So Milwaukee Bucks, book it. Now let's do a complete 180 and let's talk about the worst team in the NBA and who will own the number 1 overall pick. Now, depending on a couple pick trades, that could have some implications for some teams there. So, Zach, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the team I think just makes sense for Victor Wembanyama to be on. I am going with the San Antonio Spurs to end up with the number 1 overall pick. And it's not going to be that they're going to be in the bottom 4, pre-lottery. I think they're going to be around the 6, 7, 8 spot in terms of the worst teams. They're going to get lucky in the lottery, and they're going to get the number 1 overall pick, and they're going to take Victor. It's going to be an exact repeat of the Tim Duncan draft, where San Antonio – they tanked, quote unquote, in a way for a season. They lost for a season, but then they won the lottery and got Tim Duncan. I think it's going to be the same exact thing with Victor Wembanyama, and I think he's going to be a Spur with Popovich. It just makes so much sense for Victor Wembanyama to be a Spur. So that is my pick, and it's going to happen.
Man, that'd be great. I think that's actually his best possible destination in terms of developing as a player. So
I just see it so clearly in my head. I can literally see him in a Spurs jersey right now. I can see it.
You can see Greg Popovich standing at his waist next to him, about to check him again.
That dude is insane.
Yeah. All right, Roe, who you think's owning the number 1 pick this year?
Look, I think if we're going to go by way of trade, the only team that really has anything that can offer is the Thunder. The Thunder have every pick for the next 10 years, basically, because they just keep getting picks. So if any team could make a huge trade, I think it'll be the Thunder. Personally, I think it's worth it. If what I'm seeing about Victor Wembanyama is true, then this guy needs to be taken by any means necessary. So the Thunder, I think, could trade in for him, not by way of trade, by way of just worst team. I think the Pistons are the worst team in the league. They have good players. They have Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham. they're too young, they're too inexperienced, and they're just way too like I don't know how to explain it. I watched them play here and there. They're just way too individual right now. They're not a team. They just have some good individual talent, and I don't see them winning and competing against any team. They're just going to be kind of floating at the bottom of the table and here and there get a nice win. And Jaden Ivey scores 30. Congratulations! But I think the Pistons are the worst team, and if anyone's going to get it, it'll be the Pistons. But by way of trade, I think we're going to have some interesting trades coming in to try to get that last pick. And I think the first pick, sorry. And I think the Thunder could be a pretty big contender in there.
Yeah. God, could you imagine if the Thunder end up with Chet and
no,
Victor?
I do not want that to happen. I'm honestly sick and tired of seeing the Thunder take a great young player every single year and add it to the team. I mean, I like a lot of their players, but I don't want Victor to be a part of the Thunder. And I think, Roy, what you're forgetting is the NBA lottery pretty much has guaranteed that the worst team in the regular season doesn't get the first overall pick.
True.
It's only a 14% chance, and I can't remember the last time I've seen the worst team get the first pick. So you have to kind of remember that. I mean, hey, if the Charlotte Bobcats got 7 wins and didn't get the first pick, who's to say that the Pistons will? So
true. No, that's very true. It's very true.
Yep.
That is just criminal. I am going to say for my pick here, I'm going to say the Houston Rockets. And I know that they're a very good young team, and they're currently 2-10. And, you know, they've had a top pick in the draft, it seems, every year for the last couple of years. And I expect them to be in the top 3 again. But this team, they're great. They're young. I just don't see them winning that many games. And I just think that they're going to win probably less than 25 games this year. And anything under that's going to put them in the lottery. So I think it's going to be the Houston Rockets. And boy, if they can get another young player in like 3 years, they're going to be so good. So shout out to Houston. They're in full tank mode for the last like 3 years. Jack, take us home.
Oh, man. I think I don't want it to happen. It's my worst nightmare. But I really think that the number 1 overall pick is going to go the New Orleans Pelicans by way of my god-awful Los Angeles Lakers. And it will pain me to the core because I can just see it happening. We gave up a whole slew of picks to get Anthony Davis. We got our championship. You can call it a Mickey Mouse ring if you want, but I enjoyed it, so it counts for me. And I can just see it happening. The Pelicans have been towards the back end of the lottery with their picks in the past. They jumped up when they got Anthony Davis to get the number 1 pick. They jumped up when they got Zion Williamson to get the number 1 pick. And it would be so Lakers to have the Pelicans get that number 1 pick. I don't think the Lakers are the worst team in basketball. I think they'll definitely be a lottery team. I don't think they're a playoff team. But I do think that pick is probably somewhere the 6th to 7th best odds to get the number 1 pick. And I could totally see the Pelicans jumping up, getting the number 1 pick, getting Victor Wembanyama. And imagine Victor Wembanyama besides Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Herb Jones. I mean, that starting lineup is disgusting. Yeah. I don't see how the Pelicans aren't like a dynasty in the making if that happens. And it's my absolute worst nightmare.
You give that Pelicans team like 2 years to get everything, you know, like everyone worked out with their roles and their rotations, and you get a good coaching staff around that. That could be a dynasty, which is kind of crazy. I mean, just out of nowhere, just with one trade, and it completely changes 2 franchises' futures.
Man, we got Brian cheesing backstage over these Pelican takes.
Yeah, he's way too excited about this right now.
One team, I will say, if I had to choose a team in the league, any team that I was like, you know what, take him. For me, it's the Sacramento Kings. They're that team that I'm like,
I get the logic. Okay.
They deserve it. Number 1, they're the worst team in California. Always have been. Always will be. No one ever talks about them. They have De'Aaron Fox and they have Hawks legend Kevin Huerter, who is popping off, and I love him. And I was so upset when we traded him because I knew it was going to happen. But he deserves to fly free and get a starting role and shoot off like he should. But if any team deserves it, they lost a bonus. To me, that was a big loss, but they weren't going anywhere with him anyways. Victor needs to go to Sacramento. That would be great. I would be happy with that, if not the Hawks. Please not the Pelicans. I don't want to see Zion play alongside him.
I think it'd be great for the fans of the Kings, but their management doesn't deserve it.
You mean fan of the King.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, if they did get Victor, they would have more fans. But I'm
Yeah.
saying I don't think their management deserves the right to have Victor Wembanyama. They've been they just have a horrible track record as a whole. But yeah.
All right, let's
They would
take it
find a
home.
way to get the number 1 pick and not take Victor.
They would. They'd be to do that too.
They just reach for Scoot.
Yeah, why
Exactly.
not? At that point, why not?
All right, let's take us home with the MVP predictions for the season. There's a lot of people being talked about right now. Seems like a couple of us have a clear favorite here, but Zach, why don't you start us off? Because I know you've been in the MVP conversation a lot these past couple of years.
You know, Embiid has been the number 2 MVP option for the past 2 years. He's been playing some phenomenal games. And last night was his best game in his career, without a shadow of a doubt. It has put him right back into the MVP conversation, I believe. Start of the season wasn't. It was good. It was still really good, but it wasn't the MVP standard. Last night, right back into that conversation. I feel like Embiid is going to have another great season. He's going to do very well. He's going to lead this Sixers team to over 50 wins. It's going to be another good season to be a Sixers fan. And then he will also get snubbed once again for the MVP pick. I'm taking Luka Doncic out of pure spite because I know the NBA just doesn't want to give it to Embiid. Luka will have a phenomenal season as well, and I think he will also be deserving of the MVP. He is the clear number 1 guy for the Dallas Mavericks. He will lead them to a middle-high playoff seed. I think it will be a deserved MVP and everything, but I think Embiid will get snubbed once again for this.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. For my pick, I'm also going with Luka Doncic. I think he's going to end the season with like 31 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, something ridiculous.
I can see
And
that.
you just got to give it to a guy when he puts up those type of numbers. Unfortunate for Embiid, he's just going to be a career number 2 MVP. But
I can see it, and I'm going to hate it. And it's just, yeah, I can totally see Embiid being the career second best every single year. And like he'll deserve an MVP. Maybe he'll get a Finals MVP if we're lucky. But even then,
Kevin Durant was the number 2 for a long time to
true.
LeBron, and then he got his own. So it might end up in your favor. Roe, you got an interesting pick here.
So my pick, and I'll say this before, it's very contingent on a lot of things. So my pick is Joel Embiid to win MVP. Number 1, and I hate to say it, by the way, because I just hate to say it, but I think it's gonna be Joel Embiid. My first contingency here is they need to get rid of Doc Rivers. I think Doc Rivers is way, way past his prime. You could even argue he didn't have a prime. I mean, yeah, he won with the Celtics, great win, great season, but like
good season.
He's done nothing since. He's lost with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Got sacked after that. Now he came to the Sixers with high hopes. He lost to Trae Young and Ben Simmons. He basically killed the process. I'm so proud of that, by the way. Killed the he got the process murdered. And then even so now, I don't think the Sixers are going to win with him at the helm. But still, Embiid is a great player. The next contingency, and this is another really big contingency for me, is when James Harden comes back. How much of the ball is Embiid going to see? Because yes, last night he could drop 100,000 points. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God.
But
making a statement, please continue, Rory.
No, I respect the statement. I agree. But James Harden, we know James Harden, he's not going to let go of the ball that easy. So if James Harden comes back and takes his fair share of the ball, that's what I think can skew it away from Embiid. That's my biggest thing. Joel Embiid, great player. If he continues the way he's been doing, he deserves it. Like you said, he's been snubbed. And I don't think they'll overlook him this year, especially after last night. And he had 100 points in 2 games in a row, like 2 games like combined. That hasn't happened since, I want to say, Wilt. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I saw a stat about that. It was like a few players have done it like 1 time in their careers, and then Wilt's done it 86 times. Just another one of those crazy Wilt stats that they're able to pull out of nowhere.
You'd be like, oh, by the way, you think that's impressive? Well,
yeah, exactly.
Wilt is like the
honestly, it's
official
those stats
one-up
that really
guy
prove
of
that
the
Wilt
NBA.
Chamberlain is a top 5 basketball player of all time, and that's my opinion. But we can talk about that
100%.
later.
But I see it going to Embiid if all those stars align. If Doc Rivers stays and you guys continue to just mess around and lose again when you were predicted to win, then it's not Embiid. It might not even be Luka at that point. I could see it going to John Morant at that point. But to me, it's got to be Embiid.
All right, Jack, round us off.
Yeah. Well, I have Luka down as my pick, and I've just been loving all over the Mavericks today. I picked them to go to the finals. I think Luka's awesome, and he still is my MVP pick. But I want to give a little bit of a fun pick here, just because everyone's been talking about Luka, and I want to go a little different. How about Dame Lillard? He has been awesome to start the season so far. I know this might just be a little bit of a recency bias type of pick, but he has been incredible to start the season so far. I believe the Blazers have the best record in the West right now. I mean, there's no reason to say that he wouldn't win the MVP if he keeps playing the way he is. I don't really see it continuing, but I hope it does. I would love to see it for Dame. He's sort of been the number 2 point guard in the league, behind Steph Curry for pretty much his entire career. I would love to see him get the spotlight a little bit, especially if the Blazers continue to play well. So, sure, fun pick. Give me Dame Lillard.
I love that. I'm so happy for Dame and that the Blazers actually have players behind him this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeremy Grant was a heck of a pick.
Yeah, it seems like also the Blazers are winning every night off of a buzzer beater. I don't know if it's just what
I've noticed that.
Like every other game I watch of them, it's a buzzer beater.
I thought they were at the end of the table, and then I looked and they're first, and I don't know. I didn't think they were that good, to be honest. But
it's still the early season. Last year the Wizards were like a top 4 seed in December. I think
the Magic started the season last year like in first in the East.
Exactly.
Somehow.
I'm gonna wait until the new year before we start making some real assumptions about what's going to happen. So
that's true. We can come back here and talk about it again once it's more established.
If the Jazz are still in first in January, we're gonna have something to talk about.
If the Jazz,
I'm not buying the Jazz. I'm not buying them.
No, I love the Jazz. Look,
marketing.
I love the Jazz. I'll say a little tidbit about the Jazz. That too. But I just see the flashbacks from the Hawks in 2015 when we had the most well-rounded team, 60-plus wins, such a good team. But at the end of the day, you need a star in those moments. I don't think Lauri Markkanen is going to take the pressure of like a true star. I love the Jazz. It'd be awesome for them to win, but I've seen it. I've seen such good teams fall and get destroyed by LeBron year after year. At the end of the day, when a star is needed, the Jazz don't have it. The Jazz, they're just not going to do it.
Yeah, if you want to talk about well-rounded teams losing to stars, I'm a resident of LeBronto and have been for a while, so it's never fun in the playoffs. But hey, Roy, thank you for joining us today on Pass the Rock. It was a pleasure to have you join us for some NBA talk. But we're going to move on to our NFL mid-season predictions and awards, and then get into some Monday night preview as well. So welcome back, Padna, to the show.
Thank you for that. Was really entertaining to watch backstage. A lot of crazy things going on. And, Jack, the love of the Mavericks train. I'm really interested in seeing you disappointed, not only with the Lakers, but also with the Mavericks this year.
Well, I have to have something to root for. I'm a Laker fan. I mean, I need some sort of hope.
Yeah, so let's all cry for the Lakers fans and their however many championships. All right. Let's get into a little NFL talk. We have some mid-season predictions. We're going to review. Maybe some of you remember what you predicted before the season and how quality or not so quality it was. If the season ended today in the AFC, let's start. Chiefs 1, Dolphins 2. Yeah, the Dolphins. 3 are the Titans, 4 are the Ravens, 5 the Jets, 6 the Bills, 7 the Patriots. That's right. 4 teams from the AFC East. What were we talking about those 4 teams in the offseason? No, we were talking about the Chargers and whatever, the Broncos and the Raiders and such. So pretty impressive for the AFC East. They do have a lot of games against each other in the second half, so that's probably not going to hold up. In the NFC, Eagles 1, Vikings 2, Seahawks 3. Bucks 4, Giants 5, Cowboys 6, 49ers 7. So, with all that said, who is your now pick for the Super Bowl? I'm going to start with you, Zach.
I mean, first of all, as an Eagles fan, it's been a great first half of the season. Still a lot to be played. Can't make any bygone conclusions yet, but I think we will be getting the Andy Reid Bowl in the Super Bowl. We're going to be getting Eagles Chiefs. Also could be called the Kelsey Bowl. You have Travis versus Jason. I think we'll be getting the Andy Reid Bowl. They're the two best teams in the NFL right now. I know the Vikings are also really good, but I do think that the Chiefs are still better than them. I'd say those are the two best teams in the NFL right now. I don't see many of these playoff teams putting up a huge fight against them. I see a few that could potentially steal a win here or there, but nothing crazy. I feel like they have to be the favorites right now to make the Super Bowl.
Interesting. Going to you, Jack. Take us to a little bit more sanity, I think.
Definitely a little bit more sanity and definitely a little less Philly love. I'm going to go with in the AFC, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. I know they haven't looked great in their last couple of games. They tripped up against the Jets, and Josh Allen really was not great in this game against the Vikings yesterday, and it was honestly kept the Vikings in it for most of the way. I really think that they're going to find a way to get their stuff together, though. This defense is very solid. It's well coached, run by Sean McDermott. I think that Josh Allen is still maybe not the best quarterback in football, like I said a couple of weeks ago, but he's definitely at the top of the list, right up there with Patrick Mahomes. I think that they find a way to get their stuff together, get into the Super Bowl. I still feel like this is their year. And I don't know what it is about the Bills, but they seem to have a good energy around them this year. So I'm going to ride with them. And in the NFC, I'm going to go with my favorite team to talk about on this show, the San Francisco 49ers. I gush over them all the time. I just think this offense is so creative. There's so many ways that they can evolve their different playmakers. And I think we've been starting to see that form in the last couple of weeks. I think they've really been starting to get it together. And I think that their defense is also one of the best in football. I know they're 5-4 right now. They're sitting at the 7th seed in the NFC, but I think they are only going up from here. And I think that they're going to make the Super Bowl and play the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was really joking about the sanity, giving it to Jack after.
Yeah, I'm glad you were, because that was anything but.
I can't tell you how far away the 49ers will be because of Jimmy G. You're right about everything else in their offense, but oh my goodness, no way. Okay, I like Chiefs Eagles too. Number one, I don't think the Bills win their division, and I don't think because they won't win their division, they're going to have to win too many road games, and they're not going to win in Kansas City. They probably won't win in Miami, although at least it won't be the 90-degree weather in September if they play them in the playoffs. But so I like the Chiefs in the AFC. I wanted to pick any other team in the NFC but the Eagles, because I do think the Eagles will find a little stretch where they'll be disappointing. Well, people will figure them out for a little bit. And, the question is, can they turn the corner and come back from it? I wanted to pick the Vikings so bad. I really did. But I just know that they're going to have to play too many games that aren't at 1 o'clock. And what do they do when they have to play a Saturday night divisional round playoff game? So I'm going with the Eagles and the Chiefs. I do think the Chiefs win that one. So that's going to disappoint Zach, although I'm sure he'll be happy that he gets to celebrate 2 weeks in the Super Bowl. But
look, I definitely think it's reasonable to say that the Chiefs could beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I think that would just be a good matchup for football's sake. So I'm not too upset with that pick. I'll be more upset if it actually happens. So.
Exactly. All right, Jesse, over to you.
All right, well, I know you guys are just dogging on Jack, but I'm actually taking the 49ers coming out of the NFC as well.
Let's go.
Hey, any of you can keep the receipts. I had the 49ers coming out of the West before they got McCaffrey. I don't know why I took them before they got McCaffrey, but boy, am I going to call back on it now, because this is a Pro Bowl offense. You have CMC, who's arguably the best back in the league. You have George Kittle, who is arguably the best tight end in the league. I know you could put him and Kelsey 1A, 1B. You got Deebo Samuel, who was in the Offensive Player of the Year contention last year, although he's kind of disappeared a bit this year. But this is just stud after stud after stud. And then you got guys like Brandon Ayuk as well. Elijah Mitchell, who I am so mad that we will never get to see what his first 2 years injury-free full workload would have looked like, because he is just a beast. But Brian, you're right. The Jimmy G, that hurts the ceiling a little bit, but I'm saying that they're going to go up a rematch of a couple of years ago versus the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And honestly, Patrick Mahomes has just proved us all wrong about that Josh Allen take a couple weeks ago, and he is absolutely the best quarterback in the NFL and my pick for the MVP. But man, they are just amazing. I think the Chiefs are going to take it over the Niners yet again because Jimmy G can get them to the Super Bowl. I just don't think he can win it for them. But yeah, give me Chiefs Niners round 2.
Well, I like that you transitioned us to the MVP talk because it just seems that if you're kind of a veteran of Pass the Rock, you understand the NFL, you get who the MVP is. If you're not, if you're new to Pass the Rock, let's say in the last 6 months or so, maybe you're still an intern, you have no idea what you're doing. So Jesse and I both picked Patrick Mahomes to win the MVP. Not only will he be the MVP of the NFL and of the Super Bowl, but also of my team that will be winning the Lost Tribe Staff League. Okay, so that's what's on the line. Now I'm going to pass it to Zach and Jack so that we can try to understand why you would pick anyone else. And Zach, we'll go to you.
Well, before the season started, I picked Jalen Hurts to be an MVP frontrunner, and we are here now, about to end Week 10, and he is still an MVP frontrunner. I'm sticking with my preseason pick. I'm sticking with Jalen Hurts, the only undefeated quarterback to play in more than 2 games, Bailey Zappi. And he's leading the best team in the NFL right now. Okay, he has looked phenomenal. He has improved over last season. You can see clear improvement. Mahomes is still playing out of his mind. Mahomes is having a great year, and Jack's pick, that guy is having an amazing year as well. But Mahomes, you have the voter fatigue, and Tua, he's missed a few games. I'm sorry for spoiling it. He missed a few games already, okay? And missing games, in my own experience, I've seen it firsthand, really hurts your MVP candidacy. I mean, you're lucky it was early in the season, but he missed games, and that really hurts an MVP's chances. I think back to Carson Wentz, who tore his ACL and missed the remainder of the season. If he doesn't do that, Carson Wentz would be an MVP. So as long as everyone stays healthy, I think that Jalen Hurts is the clear-cut MVP pick right now. And the only reason it's not Patrick Mahomes is voter fatigue. He's done amazing as well.
Yeah, well, it's pretty bold to pick the quarterback that's 16th in passing yards and 13th in touchdowns. But you got to pick somebody. And usually I'm he wins, and that's more important. I agree. I get it. But no way. All right, over to you, Jack.
You'll see.
Yep. The MVP is a narrative-driven award. It's not the best player in football. It's not the best quarterback in football. And if we were giving out that award, it would be Patrick Mahomes, and I have no problem saying that. Tua Tagovailoa right now has the MVP narrative.
No.
Usually an injury does not help a case for MVP. But this guy, Tua, looked like his career might be over after that hit in the Bengals game. I mean, the way he was writhing on the ground, it was disgusting. And he comes back, 2 or 3 weeks later, and continues dominating at the highest of levels, which is coming into the season. I don't think anyone in their right mind would have expected that from Tua. And I just think it's a narrative-driven award. And Tua Tagovailoa right now has the NFL's support behind him. People want to see this guy succeed after fighting through what he's been through this season. And the Dolphins are the second best team in the AFC right now, and it doesn't look like they're slowing down. So as long as that continues, I don't think it matters how dominant Patrick Mahomes is. I don't think it matters how dominant the Chiefs are. I think Tua has the narrative behind him, and I think that gives him the award.
Well, I'll tell you, he's 11th in passing yards and 4th in touchdowns, but I'm not going to let you know who's first in both of those categories, okay? I'll let you guess on your own. All right, let's move on. A little midseason fun. Monday Night Football, Commanders-Eagles tonight. The Eagles favored by 11. So give me one take about this game. Jesse, you're up first.
I see a lot of people talking about, just from a betting standpoint, about this line of Eagles by 11. I think this game is going to be closer than you think. The Eagles are still going to win, but I think it's going to be a bad beat, like a bad beat. Like they're going to be up double digits the whole game, and then a backdoor, they're just going to win the game by 10. And anybody who had Eagles minus 11 is just going to be absolutely sick. So Eagles money line's where it's at, not minus 11. But I think it's going to be a close one. Taylor Heineke is miles ahead of Carson Wentz. He's willing to throw the deep ball. And I know that Philly's got some of the best corners in the game, but I still like Heineke season tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Zach,
yeah.
Shock us with your pick.
I know. I'm gonna shock the world by saying that I have the Eagles flying high to 9-0 tonight. But you guys probably gonna say it's close. I don't think it'll be close. I think this will be a rare Eagles game where we're actually able to cover the spread. I do think -11 is a really big spread. It's no guarantee that we cover it. I think this Commanders team. I like Taylor Heineke. I like how he plays. He's a clear upgrade over Carson Wentz. I'm glad that they're playing him over him. But I'm gonna go with a 36-23 win. So we're gonna cover that 11-point spread. I don't think it'll be necessarily close. If it's going to be close, it'll be like a first half, second half kind of thing. Just like the Texans game we just saw, Eagles-Texan, where first half it was close, second half it wasn't. Might see a repeat of that if anything, but I'm going to say Eagles win and cover like great teams do.
All right, Jack. Maybe just a little bit of sanity.
Yeah.
Let's go.
A little bit of sanity here. I do think the Eagles win tonight. I do think they're clear cut the better team. I'm not saying that. I do think the Commanders keep it a little bit close though. I think with Chase Young's return on the horizon, that's something that's not really being talked about. But he was almost going to be ready for tonight. Doesn't sound like he's going to play. He might be back next week. But things are looking up with that bright spot on the horizon. I think that the Commanders play together. I think they're a feisty team. They're not a great team, but they're able to keep games close, and I think that they keep it close tonight with the Eagles. I am still going to lead with the Eagles, though, in that dominant defense, and their offense has been unbelievable this season, too. So I'm going to lead with the Eagles. I'll go 30-24.
So we have the setup of 3 people picking one team, all right? And I actually love the Commanders plus 11 tonight. I didn't think I was courageous enough to pick Commanders money line, but I think I have to just because the 3 of you picked the Eagles. So what I originally wrote was Taylor Heineke loves this moment and people overlooking him. And I guarantee you the Eagles are overlooking. I really wish this game was in Washington. It would make me feel a lot better about picking the Commanders. But I'm going to swap my score and say Commanders 27, Eagles 24. It happens
look at
tonight.
That.
We can't go in with all these unanimous picks. Let's go. I'm so much more interested in this game tonight.
Okay.
I actually think you should have gone with the unanimous because then they would have definitely lost.
That's true. That's true. So thank you for picking the Commanders. But I'm just gonna say, you wish this game was in Washington. Earlier this season, when the game was in Washington, the Eagles got 9 sacks. So
I remember.
Of course, that was with
they were
Carson
sacking
Wentz.
a mannequin.
That was with Carson Wentz and everything. But I'm very interested to see how this defensive line does tonight.
The Eagles are only 5-3 against the spread this year, just saying. So moving on, Seahawks and the Buccaneers, a little game from Germany for the first ever time. Did you guys get up? Were you up early enough to watch this? I know I was, but I'm old. So Jack, let's start with you.
I was able to watch the second half because I don't wake up at the crack of dawn. I wake up a little bit after. So I watched the second half of this game, and I got to say, after watching it, Tampa, they are winning the division. I don't think there's even a competition anymore. I think they've found the groove that they've needed and that they've had in previous years. Brady has the groove back. The team just looked really good against a team that we are all decided. I think we can all say that the Seahawks are a good team right now. So the Bucs got a win that I think is very impactful. I think it will, it's the springboard they needed for the rest of the season. They're going to be great. They're going to win the division. Just lock them back in the playoffs now. I've already decided. Division race, it's over. Bucs win. It's over.
All right, the original person that I called on, Jack. What are your thoughts?
Nope, he doesn't get to talk. He sucks.
Always bullying me, Zach. Damn. All right. While I may have slept through the first half of this game, the second half, what I saw from the Bucs, they held on to the lead pretty well. The Seahawks did make it a little bit closer in the end, but I think, like I said last week, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win over the Rams in that last-second fashion. Tom Brady, with his vintage performance, driving down the field to beat the Rams. That was a season-changing, momentum-shifting win. that has completely changed the course of the Bucs season. And I think that carried over into this week, all the way to Munich. I think that carried over, and I think it's going to carry back over to the States. I think the Bucs are poised to go on a run. I think this division is theirs to lose. And I really don't see them falling off from here. I think that they ride this nice momentum wave.
All right. Okay, Jesse, take us away from this craziness and talk about a particular play in that game.
Yeah, I don't know what Byron Leftwich ate for breakfast that morning, but when you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, and you decide to have a wildcat formation of Leonard Fournette, not your 7-time Super Bowl champion, but he's actually lined up out wide, and he's actually 45, and he's actually running a route downfield. What? Like, why? And then, of course, he absolutely eats the turf, and it turns into a pick. And they're not even up by that much in this game. Like, it looked like they were up 40 just playing around. Like, they were up like less than 10 points in this game. So that was just an unbelievable play call. I have no idea what they were thinking. And I think it's actually the funniest thing in the NFL to me, like the absolute funniest thing when I see a position player throw an interception, because it's just so avoidable at all costs. Like Devontae Adams yesterday took a screen pass and was going to throw it. And then he was like, the read's not there, and just ran for 20 yards. Like, there's other options. Amari Cooper threw a pick last week. It was awful. It's so funny to watch. I have no idea why that play was even called, but shout out to the Bucs.
Jesse, I think I have a good idea of why that play was called. You know, in Germany, their big specialty is the local beer, and I'm sure the Bucs were just familiarizing themselves with Germany and making a good impression by having an authentic German breakfast, like you were saying.
Oh, so. He must have. But like you guys all said, Tampa's season just like that is saved. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how they're screwed, and now they are sitting atop an abysmal division. They should waltz into the playoffs. I don't expect them to do much once they get there, but hey, it's win or go home at that point. And Tom Brady knows how to win. So they're going to get back to the playoffs just like they have year in and year out. And it's anyone's game at that point.
Yeah. Look, they'll make the playoffs. They'll win this division. Seattle is not a good team. First of all, they're 0-3 against the NFC South this year. 0-3. Imagine what their record could be if they could beat these terrible teams. They lost to the Saints, the Bucs, and the Falcons. They still have the Panthers, so maybe they can salvage something. Everybody's dying to say Brady's back because they want Brady to be back so much. Zach is keeping tabs on Giselle and who she's dating now, so that will be an important part of our show going forward.
I didn't get her on waivers, okay? I'm just trying to make a trade at this point, all right?
You got to up your fab budget. Come on.
Yeah, you can't be offering $5, bro. All right. This is the deal. This team has major problems, okay? They can't run the ball with any consistency. They're having trouble when they're up in games of keeping the lead. I do think they win the South because of just how terrible the South is. But they lose their first game. They end up playing the Giants or the Cowboys or something like that in the wild card round, and they lose at home. That's the prediction. Vikings, Bills first, and let's keep our answers short on this one because I think there's some fire here. Where does Justin Jefferson's catch rank among the best catches of all time? Is it the best? Jack?
No.
Jack this time.
Jack first.
There we go. All right. Well, to me, there are two categories of catches. It's a regular season catch versus a playoff catch. In the regular season, the top two of all time, Odell Beckham Jr. and then this. I think this was right up there with Odell's catch. I'm going to take Odell's over just because that catch made Odell into a superstar overnight. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. But this catch was absolutely incredible. But a playoff catch, a clutch catch, a wild catch in the playoffs, there's nothing like it. So to me, the top two of all time, the Julian Edelman bobble catch in the Super Bowl and the David Tyree helmet catch in the Super Bowl. I think those are the absolute top two of all time. Maybe throw Santonio Holmes toe tap in the end zone up there too. That's my little biased Steelers fan one. But I think Julian Edelman, David Tyree, those are the two.
All right, Zach.
I mean, I'm in a similar vein as Jack. I think, while the Justin Jefferson catch, is very impressive, I don't think it ranks above the Edelman or the OBJ catch. And for very similar reasons. OBJ's catch completely jump-started his career as a star. He's the reason that he's able to visit teams right now as a free agent like he's visiting colleges. I mean, if it wasn't for that catch, OBJ is not where he is today as a player or as a star. And then on top of that, the Julian Edelman catch, definitely the most skilled catch I've ever seen. Like, you do not see that type of catch made by like 99% of wide receivers in this league, and that's saying something. I mean, I remember everyone being like, oh, you could fit like a sheet of paper underneath where Edelman caught that ball. I've never seen a catch like that skilled. So I'd say those two, for different reasons, are above this Jefferson catch. But I definitely would consider this Jefferson catch to be around, like top 5 or so catches of all time. Probably a few others I'm missing in my head right now, but it's up there. This is definitely a very impressive catch, but OBJ and Edelman absolutely clear it.
Yeah, I'll be clear. The OBJ catch isn't what made him a superstar, what made him go on his college tour to pick a team. It's his first 3 years in the league where he had 1305, 1450, and 1367 yards in each of those first 3 years with double-digit touchdowns. Now, he has not done that since, but that's why he's still a superstar. The best catch ever is also the best Jewish catch ever. It's Edelman in the Super Bowl against the Falcons. Jesse, to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say what you just said, Brian. Odell Beckham was not like this unheard of bum off the roster that made a nice catch. Like, he was rookie of the year, not just in that one game. Like, he won rookie of the year and then was on the cover of Madden. And I'll admit that it certainly added to his stardom. But to me, there's some context in here. Odell Beckham's team in that year finished 6-10. They were 3-8 at the time in that game against the Cowboys. This Justin Jefferson made a catch that sent his team to 8-1 against the best team in football, in my opinion. I know the Eagles are 8-0, but they made a catch that won them the game on 4th and 18 in the fourth quarter against the best team in football, and then propelled his team to a win with several other amazing catches. So the game itself was great. I'll have to say, though, Edelman's ranks the top, in my opinion, completely unbiased from a Patriots fan watching that game, because it's just the most unlikely. Of course, Jefferson looking like an Odell recreation, but in double coverage on 4th and 18, game on the line. If he doesn't make that catch, game's absolutely over. In Odell's case, not really. In Edelman's case, absolutely. If he doesn't make that catch, the game is over. They lose the Super Bowl, not just a regular season game, but Jefferson's catch is easily the best this year. I would be shocked if it is topped. Like, it would have to take some serious that, but a game winner in overtime to top it. So he's got the best catch of the season for sure. All time, I'd say it's close. It's close.
All right, let's get to the game, actually. Vikings-Bills. Zach, game of the year?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, unless something even crazier shows up, this is my game of the year pick right now. Just a fantastic watch. This is up there with, of course, everyone remembers 54-51 Chiefs-Rams 2018. Amazing game. Another clear-cut game of the year was Ravens-Browns in 2020 when Lamar Jackson, everyone says he went to the bathroom, but he might have been dealing with an actual injury or something. But that game was absolutely insane. Right now, this is my game of the year. Just an absolute thriller. Great football all around. Some crazy QB sneak shenanigans that really prove that the Eagles are the only team who knows how to use it effectively at this point. But in all seriousness, though, this is the best football game I've seen this year. And ever since last week's turnaround with just great football last week, this season was honestly saved with its quality. It was a weird start to the year, and now we're moving into some really, really good football, and this game proves it. So I was very happy as a football fan watching this game. Just a great game to watch.
Yeah, for some reason I was watching Steelers Saints. Jack, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, for some reason I was also watching Steelers Saints, but I had
figured.
when this game it got really nice and close. I moved Steelers Saints to my phone and put this thing on the TV because this was must watch TV. It was a phenomenal game, and I think this game proved to me that Minnesota is a legitimate contender this year in the NFL. I think mainly that's because of Kirk Cousins, and it is so crazy to me that we're saying this. Make all the jokes that you want about Kirk Cousins being the most average quarterback in the league. I love those jokes just as much as the next person. But he has played like a top 10 quarterback this season. He has played better than the Kirk Cousins line. I really think that he has elevated this offense, and I know they have all the weapons, and they have the new coaching staff that has been from the McVay tree that everyone hypes up, and it has made this team definitely better. But I really think that Kirk Cousins, his improvement this season in his age, whatever it is, 32 at this point, he's getting up there. But at this point in his career, he has taken a step forward and has helped the Vikings take a step forward. I really think they're a contender this season.
Yeah, I had a hard time not picking them to potentially win the NFC. I wanted to pick somebody else. I just, in the end, I don't think I'd like to see more out of their running game, especially when you get to the NFC playoffs. But one thing about this game, though, Buffalo is a fraud. All right. We all wanted to believe that they were going to win. We talked about Josh Allen being the MVP. I think they struggle to, they're gonna try to win the AFC East. They're gonna come up short because Miami's gonna win it, and then they're gonna have to go on the road in the playoffs, like I said earlier. I think it's just tough to make it as close as they did to get to the Super Bowl last year to then try to get back. Trust me, the Saints had the same issues in the late 2010s, all right, where they had Minnesota beat. They would have gone to Philly. Who knows how that game ends? Philly was on quite a run that year, and then they lose in the NFC Championship the next year to the Rams. So I just think Buffalo is going to have a tough time. They're a great team, but they're a little bit fraudulent. It wouldn't shock me to see the Chiefs play somebody else in the AFC Championship, but at this point, I'm picking the Bills to be there. That's my take for this game. Jesse?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to figure out how Bills fans are going to blame the NFL for this loss, because it seems like every time the Bills lose, they need to change the rules or they need to change something, because it couldn't have been the Bills' fault. It's just impossible, right? Josh Allen, the golden boy, couldn't have made an aggressive throw and make a mistake that cost him the game, right? But, in Miami when they lost, it's because it was 100 degrees. They were on the sideline, They just lost yesterday. They had a 99% win percentage in that game. A couple times, especially when they had it on the goal line and then fumbled the game away. But I don't know how the NFL doesn't take a look at that Gabe Davis catch that sets them up for field goal range, because I know Bills fans love to talk about how the NFL always screws them. They did not take a look. That was not a catch. He had it and then lost control, did not control it through the ground. That was a huge, huge, huge gain that set them up for field goal range. No timeouts with less than 40 seconds in the game. I don't know how they don't look at how they don't look at that. But
honestly, Jesse, honestly, I'm honestly glad that they didn't look at it, only because it made the game that much more entertaining. Honestly, just having that not even be considered for review and they just play on, it's just like, yeah, that might linger in the back of our head, but ultimately it set up more entertaining football for us.
I think if the Bills had won, it would have been a huge thing.
No. If the Bills won, we'd definitely be talking about it more. But since they lost, I think it was, just the right no call at the time. Like, I will tell you, that was not a catch, but it resulted in a much more interesting game after that.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that, this game still went to overtime, and after everything that happened on the goal line, and we still almost ended up in a tie. There was a minute left in overtime, and the Bills had the ball on the 20. If Josh doesn't force that one into Pat Pete for his second pick of the game, we could have had a tie out of this game, which would have just been ridiculous. I think the NFL would have exploded if that game ended up in a tie.
The Bills did everything they could to lose this game and still were almost they were still in it. They still almost won. So
and that's just the one thing about the Bills this season is every game that they've lost, they have had to lose themselves. It's not because the other team won it. They threw away the game against Miami. They threw away the game last week against the Jets. And again, they had every possible chance to win this game. You get a stop on 4th and 18, the game's over. You get a stop on the goal line, the game's over. You don't fumble on your one for a touchdown. You could take a safety the game's
Yeah.
over. Like
Yeah.
they did everything they possibly could, which is why they still scare me, because if they can stop making those stupid game costing mistakes, they could easily win it all. But at the same time, you make one mistake in the playoffs and, you're into 2024. So.
And a quick note, NBA replay is so much better than NFL replay. Let's just get it right.
Yeah.
And that's what the NBA has done. Now, it helps that it's a smaller court. You can go to the side. Secaucus is making the call, but still. Let's move on. We got 2 more games. Cowboys-Packers. This game, a lot more entertaining than I think people are giving it credit. It was a little bit unexpected, although, it's up in Lambeau, so anything can happen. Here's my take. The Packers won. Congratulations. They're still not making the playoffs. They're still not going to be part of the conversation. The Cowboys will. I don't know. I do not like the Cowboys in general. I think a lot of people across the nation decide that. And to our neighbors in the north, they probably agree that the Cowboys are terrible too. But I like this team. And if this team can get a little more consistent on defense, not only are they going to push the Eagles, they're not going to win the NFC East because I think they'll just be too far behind. But I do think they push the Eagles. That second game is going to be really entertaining. And I think they're the team that could potentially go on the road, beat the Bucs, beat the NFC West champion or whatever, and put themselves in a good spot in the playoffs. Jack, to you.
Yeah. Well, this is the most Packers win ever. I mean, it makes who would have thought that Aaron Rodgers beats the Cowboys? If there's one thing that is certain with the Packers in a year that has been filled with uncertainty, is that Aaron Rodgers will own the Bears and he will own the Cowboys, because that's what he has always done, and that continues. However, my opinion on these teams has not changed at all. I still think the Packers' flaws are obvious. I think in this game they still showed up, even though Christian Watson finally learned how to catch the ball, and that was a big reason why they won the game. I still think that their receivers are a gigantic weakness. I don't see that getting fixed. I think their run defense is a huge weakness. I don't see that getting fixed. And because of that, I still don't think they're a playoff team. And I still think the Cowboys are one of the best teams in the NFC. I still think that defense is top 3 in the NFL. I still think that they're good enough to compete with the Eagles, even for the division. I don't think they'll win the division, but I think they can compete. And I still think they're a top-end team in the NFL, and they're going to make noise in the playoffs. Congratulations, Packers fans. This is your Super Bowl, but nothing gets better.
Ouch. That's terrible. Jesse, to you.
Oh my God. Sorry, you just got me off guard with that. But yeah, just when you start to count out the Packers, last week we were saying this is it. They are officially off the deep end. They come back and beat one of the top teams in the NFC in an overtime thriller. First time they've scored over 30 all year. First time they've scored over 21 points in 5 weeks. The offense just decided to wake up and play well. And it's been great to see them beating Aaron Jones, like the number 1 back you drafted him to be, because I mean, he's just been great ever since we were questioning whether he's a start or sit in fantasy. He's just been phenomenal, but they still stink. I mean, what are they? 3-6 now? Like 4-7, 4-6, either way, they're not even smelling the playoffs. Although, to be fair, they could fully make it at 8-9 with how bad the NFC is. But great job for Aaron Rodgers, showing that he can still, he still got it some way. He still owns the Cowboys. But really questionable decision to me with Mike McCarthy going for it on 4th down in overtime when you got Brett Maher, who's been pretty much better than anybody else this year, over 50 yards. He's been phenomenal. He's, that's in his range. They were right about at the 35. So that's looking like 52. I think that's comfortable for Brett Maher, and to put yourself in a position where Aaron Rodgers just needs to get downfield, and then, Mason Crosby's not going to miss. So I just think it's a questionable decision in overtime. I know it's 4th and 4. You think you can get it, but take the points. I mean, it's overtime. If you don't take the points, then you're going to lose.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Zach, give us your take that Jesse just stole.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah. He kind of did steal my take. But before I get into my take, I just want to say clearly, my opinion, like you guys, my opinion on these teams and their future outcomes has not changed. I still think the Cowboys will make the playoffs. I still think the Packers suck. But with that being said, how about them Cowboys? Oh, man. Not only did Dak throw 2 picks, both of Green Bay's ensuing drives resulted in touchdowns. So if those mistakes are avoided, this game could have easily been a blowout win for the Dallas Cowboys. But Dak threw those picks, and this game ended up in overtime, where Mike McCarthy, the coaching genius, the guy who can't manage the clock to save his life, as we saw in last year's playoffs that cost him the game, he passed on a 45-yard field goal for some guaranteed points, which was a gamble that failed to pay off. What I think is important is that Brett Maher, the Cowboys kicker this year, has been perfect between 40 and 49 yards so far this year. He's 3 for 3. So maybe not a huge sample size, but perfect is perfect. So just a absurd decision by Mike McCarthy, another one of his many absurd decisions over the years that cost his team the game. But hey, what do you know? Mike McCarthy coaching the Packers to a win. Where have we seen that before?
I mean, the Packers fans are very used to Mike McCarthy's clock management issues. So I'm sure for them it was fun to see it on the other side for once.
Yeah, exactly. Look, all I'm saying is his coaching led to a Packers win. We've seen that time and time again. I mean, and the Packers are under Aaron Rodgers. It's almost like McCarthy's still coaching them. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing.
He did win them a Super Bowl. So Super Bowl 45.
He did somehow.
Chargers 49ers. Let's start with you, Jesse. Give you a chance to steal one of the 3 takes still left on the board.
I've got a couple here, but look, this offense, like I said before, it is like a Pro Bowl offense, but Deebo Samuel is just like completely taken the back seat. It seems like, I mean, he's coming back from injury. He missed a week ago. And then Brandon Ayuk is just like completely broken out this year. He's been phenomenal. I know he had the big slump last year, so I'm happy to see that he's playing well. But with Deebo Samuel, like he was this complete centerpiece of this offense last year, and it just looks like he's totally uninvolved. He only had a handful of touches yesterday. They're still using him in the backfield for some reason when they just got Christian McCaffrey. They have Elijah Mitchell. I know that Shanahan just likes to mess with everybody, and he might put George Kittle in the backfield next week, but it's just weird to me. They don't need to. I feel like it's just risking him getting hurt still if you're going to keep running him at running back. But I know that they like to play around, and he's just basically a decoy at this point for the other guys. Jawan Jennings is having more production than Deebo Samuel at this point. But I think in terms of the Chargers, them losing Rashawn Slater was the biggest blow that this team has taken all year. I know that they've had no Keenan Allen, and then Mike Williams has missed a bit of time, and they lost J.C. Jackson. So I know when we're talking about the Chargers and we're saying how, they were so hyped up in the preseason and now they're terrible. Like, respectfully, they lost one of their best players on defense, by far their best corner. They lost their best offensive lineman who they drafted in the first round last year. They haven't had either of their top 2 starting receivers. So I'm going to cut them a little bit of slack. But Justin Herbert has been getting absolutely murdered off the edge. Nick Bosa was just having his way with whoever was at tackle for the Chargers last night. So Godspeed to Rashawn Slater because Justin Herbert needs you.
That's for sure.
Zach, yours is quick and to the point.
Look, I mean, I wrote it out quickly, but I still have a mouthful to say. Look, Justin Herbert, and I told you guys this last week. Justin Herbert is overrated. All right, there's no getting around that anymore. Justin Herbert is an overrated quarterback. You have a clutch situation pretty much built for him to succeed. You have a situation where he can drive his team down the field to win and get his career record over 500 for the first time in his career. He has never had a positive winning record with him under center. He is now 20 and 21, still below 500 because on the first play of that drive, he throws a pick right to the defense. Look, Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. He is serviceable. He's a franchise guy, but he is not as good as a lot of people think. He is overrated. And I don't care what you say. He doesn't have his top weapons, whatever. He still is not showing me that he's an elite quarterback. He's not even close to elite. He's a good quarterback. Nothing more. Justin Herbert is overrated. And I will keep saying it until he proves me otherwise by getting a career record above 500. And now, at the very least, we'll have to wait 2 weeks for that. So you guys.
And he plays Kansas City on Sunday night. So maybe
exactly. Look, I'm just saying, until Justin Herbert is able to get a career record above 500, I can't say that he isn't overrated.
I don't know how you expect the guy to go on a game-winning drive.
I will be waiting.
I don't understand how you expect a guy to go on a game-winning drive when his top receivers are Josh Palmer and DeAndre Carter. I mean, it's like asking Aaron Rodgers to go on a game-winning drive.
Then why not give it to Austin?
If you don't have receivers,
you have Austin Eckler, who's a receiving back. Austin
What,
Eckler can
you're
catch the
gonna line him up
ball.
a receiver?
Austin
You're gonna line him
Eckler,
up against
receiver?
Fred
Austin
Warner
Eckler
all
has
game.
You're not going to drive down.
receptions last
You're not going to
night.
drive down the field with screen passes.
Austin Eckler had 7 receptions last night. He's a target. And he's a pretty
awesome.
good
Not
one.
Don't get
against
me wrong.
not
He's
against
awesome.
Jack's 49ers, okay? Jack's 49ers are not putting up with that, all right? They take it down. Jack, your
Yeah,
turn.
that's right. It's all 49ers.
Well, here we go. My weekly gushing over Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
and
the
San Francisco
49ers are the best team in
every
football.
single week.
Oh, they're doing everything. Oh, they're winning the Super Bowl, guys. The 49ers.
I feel like it's just tradition at this point. I just have to gush over them. And this week, what impressed me is the way that they use all these different weapons. I mean, Elijah Mitchell, what was that? Out of nowhere, this guy, I think he had the same amount of carries as Christian McCaffrey.
He had
this
more,
game.
actually.
Who saw that coming? And did he? And he was just as
like
productive.
4 more.
I mean, normally be like, what are you doing? Why don't you give McCaffrey the ball? But here we are. Elijah Mitchell's putting up incredible numbers when he's getting these carries. And that's just a testament to the 49ers offense, the scheme, the way to get all these different weapons involved. Any given Sunday, a different player can go off. And while that may not be good for your fantasy team, it's certainly good for the 49ers and confusing defenses and the way that they're able to game plan and win these games. And, just one thing I noticed that was unbelievable. The way that they're able to motion Trent Williams when they're running up the middle is ridiculous. I mean,
that
Trent
should be
Williams
illegal. That should be illegal.
He is a behemoth of a human being. That guy is gigantic, and he is in motion, running as like a fullback to block for Christian McCaffrey and for Elijah Mitchell. It's unfair. But anyway, the Niners are incredible. I'll keep gushing over them until they're in the Super Bowl.
Hilarious. Let me just say this. It's not just Justin Herbert. The Chargers are just disappointing all over the place. Okay. They got so many free agent acquisitions in the offseason and trade acquisitions for their defense. Granted, they've dealt with injuries, but who hasn't? Look at the Saints list and, cry me a river on the number of injuries you have. Justin Herbert can't get it done. I agree with Zach. Super disappointing. I don't think just getting to 500 or a game over is going to change my mind. However, he does not have anyone to throw to. And I know he has Austin Eckler, but I don't know what's going on with all the injuries over there, but it's been terrible. He's been terrible too. He has not, even if he had those guys, I don't think he's having a great season. The AFC West is fraudulent other than my one team, the Chiefs, obviously. I think the AFC South, who we made fun of all summer, we had a great time, Jack, Zach, and I, mocking the AFC South and doing fantasy drafts, just the AFC South, and questioning, or any of these quarterbacks can actually start. Top to bottom, give me the AFC South over the AFC
There's
West.
no way. There's
I
absolutely
just
no
cannot
No.
stand.
No.
Hear me out. Hear me out. All
I
right,
don't
let
want
those
AFC
guys
South
go.
is
I want to
terrible.
leave.
I know they are. I'm not suggesting that they're not terrible. I'm just suggesting they're better than the AFC West. You telling me if the Texans and the Raiders play?
Give me the
think that's a
Raiders 10
pretty
times out of 10.
even game? 10 out of 10? No way.
I wouldn't
No,
go
no,
there
no,
at
no,
the
no,
end,
10 out of
but
10.
I will go.
Then
I
you
will
go
Raiders
up a
9 out of 10.
level. Jaguars, Broncos. Jaguars.
Okay.
Then you go up a level.
I like the Jaguars.
Chargers, Colts. Who are you picking?
Chargers. Oh my
Chargers.
God.
Chargers.
Maybe.
Even right now,
Absolutely.
Chargers.
Not with my new man at the helm of the Colts,
my
though.
God.
Okay, now we
No,
got
do not
our
tell me.
real guy.
Do not tell
and we
me
got.
that you are a Jeff Saturday
Beat-
diehard right now. Do not tell me.
I'm
Colts beat the Raiders, who just.
I love any jersey that says Saturday on the back. Just so
Don't
you're
let
saying.
Alpha Dog hear you
I
say
agree,
the Colts are
but that
better
does
than the
not
Chargers.
mean that
And
you
then,
should back
and
them
then
as the-
obviously at the top, the Chiefs win that game.
yeah.
But I do think
Chiefs
that
win,
those two
Chargers
divisions.
win, and Raiders win at the very least.
I
Okay?
disagree. I think it's 2-2 at the worst.
The Raiders beat
Okay.
the Texans 38-20 like 3 weeks ago. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give you that one. The Colts are beating the Chargers
3-1
in their
right
current
there.
Absolutely
state.
not.
In their current state.
Just
saying.
3-1.
AFC
and I
South,
think the one
think
with the
about
Broncos
it.
is a coin flip. I think it's a coin
I
flip.
don't even
I will
Bag.
admit it's closer
nothing
than
to
you
think
might
about.
think.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm
The
just
only
saying
one I
we
agree
would not
with
have
is the
had this
Jaguars.
conversation in July. In July, we were like,
Jaguars
"Oh my God, the
won
AFC
that for sure.
South, they need to be relegated to college football." Okay, and now it's a different thing. I will say also though, just remember, everybody's going to be on Commanders plus 11. Take the money line. Commanders are winning it tonight. It's going to be great. Last second field goal, Zach. I'm not planning on joining the spaces unless the Commanders win. Then I'm all over it.
If the Commanders win, I'm gonna have a full blown nuclear meltdown in that space. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
I'm so ready for it.
Oh, I'm
Oh
so
my God, it's
excited.
going to be beautiful. I got to find something that is maroon and gold around here to wear tonight. All right. After all that, hey, great fun. We got into some NBA, got into some NFL. That's Pass the Rock. Check us again on Wednesday for the fantasy show with Zach and Jack. I can't wait to hear what Saints that Jack's going to say are going to hit the over. And let me just be clear, it's none of them. All right? We'll see you next time.